closer to the green areas. And because they are building near the green areas, these green areas, other people will come and join them, and then there will be other expansion um, which causes sometimes deforestation, degradation of the environment. So it causes health problems, and these slums are not practical for citizens because they are being exposed to different things, just like air and water pollution. So there's a lot of waste because there are a lot of people occupying such a space. Even water, the water can be contaminated because there is no green area to even support the environment, which are like our trees that sometimes is exposed or consumes moisture. Because there is no green area, the what is now flowing into the water is mostly dirt and waste. Then okay, and then concerning movement, because they are dependent on cars, and there's a lot of, just like what I said, traffic congestion is also one of the major problems under air pollution. Because they are exposed to that, they are, companies are exposing the environment to other resources that is also exposing the environment to other things. So concerning this problem, my colleague will basically be speaking on mostly the solution. He's going to emphasize more on how this helps our environment and how it helps us to create a sustainable urban design for compact and connected cities. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, lecturers, fellow students. My name is Seth Ted, and I'll be taking on the strategies of properly achieving a sustainable urban environment. First of all, the need is urban expansion and promote city development. So, like my colleague said, she spoke of expanding horizontally, but compact and connected cities, they are based on the concept of going vertically, in the sense that you build your cities upwards, having skyscrapers. And it's very, very evident that in advanced countries, they build skyscrapers. So that's what we're trying to achieve here. So, and again, create mixed-use neighborhoods that residential, commercial, and improve public transportation options to reduce reliance on cars. So what this is just trying to say is that urban environments and society should be designed in a way that all these functions are close by, walkable distance from each other, to reduce reliance on cars, and also improve walkability. In this sense is having all these functions, like I said, close to each other, walkable distance to each other, so that we reduce the reliance on cars and other things. Also make spaces for parks and other green spaces, because our health and also helps to conserve our environment. Then implement sustainable building practices, energy sources, and all that. When we do this, there will be less emission of to the environment. And properly now, I would like to enter what compact and connected cities are. Compact cities are cities that are based on the concept of putting together, joining together, and the concept is based on proper land use and also connectivity with other spaces all around. Then the connective part of it has to do with making accessible passages through the urban corridors. So with that, I will leave you with a question. Would you rather design a city that brings everybody together, empower communities, and also protect our environment, or leave it to unsustainable designs? That's it. Thank you.
Let's appreciate them once more. That was a good presentation. And for those of you taking notes, write down your questions. An opportunity will be given for you to ask your questions. And the presenters, you should be ready to answer questions, okay? So I'll call on the next presenter. Let's appreciate her, please.
Good morning, invited guests, speakers, staff, and students. My name is Otopa Joy, and I'm honored to be making this presentation on behalf of my group. It's a theoretical proposal for a solution to plastic pollution in the construction industry. And it's titled Waste Walls, Leveraging the Potential of 3D Printing and Modular Architecture. This study basically merges digital fabrication and modular architecture in construction. First of all, I would like to talk about plastic pollution. It's a major challenge in Nigeria, characterized by widespread and uncontrolled accumulation of plastic waste across urban and rural areas. The country's rapid urbanization, high population growth, and lack of efficient waste management systems have exacerbated the situation, leading to severe environmental, economic, and health impacts. Nigeria is one of the largest contributors to the world's plastic pollution, with 27,695 tons released into waterways yearly. With major cities like Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Ibadan having large shareholders of this due to their high populations. Plastic pollution has caused various impacts. Sorry, next slide, please. There are a lot. The environmental impacts include contamination of waterways, soil and marine pollution, and increase in health risk due to microplastics in the environment. Next slide, please. There is also an increase in the economic cost due to accumulation of plastic waste. It detracts from Nigeria's natural beauty, undermining its tourism and food security. The waste management burden is also very, very high. But my group, our vision is to lead a paradigm shift in architecture by leveraging 3D printing to address plastic pollution and pioneering 4D printing technologies that enhance the sustainability and resilience of buildings in an ever-changing environment. Sorry, next slide, please. Our objectives include transforming waste into value, harnessing 3D printing for sustainability, promoting the circular economy, and inspiring the future of urban development. Next slide, please. Now, what is modular architecture? Modular architecture is a construction method where buildings are made from prefabricated sections called modules. It's where the different parts of the building are made in a factory and then brought to site for assembling and installation. Now, why we want to implement modular architecture, why we want to integrate digital fabrication into modular architecture is the flexibility in design, scalability of structures, integration of 3D and 4D printed components, dynamic adaptation, and long-term adaptability. Modular architecture provides the perfect framework for the integration of cutting-edge technologies like 3D and 4D printing. Its flexibility, scalability, and adaptability ensures that buildings can evolve with technological advancements, leading to more sustainable, efficient, and responsive architectural solutions. Now, the types of plastics that were being considered for suitable for 3D printing. Sorry, next slide, please. Next. sorry. The types of plastics we consider suitable for 3D printing were PLA, the polylactic acid, the acid plastics that are biodegradable and often from renewable sources like cornstarch. We have PETs, the one that is common in water bottles that everybody uses. Um, ABS, they are used for consumer products, mostly medical implements and HIPs, that's high impact polystyrene. They are often used as supporting materials for 3D printing. Now, recycled plastics have been implemented in 3D printing already. That's why they use HIPs to strengthen the material when they are using it for 3D printing. The process of recycling plastics into printing filaments. Sorry, next slide, please. We have the collection and sorting, where the different plastics are collected and sorted into their various groups because they cannot be processed together. Each has their own consideration for processing. We have cleaning and preparation, melting and extrusion. Post-processing, this includes treatment of the plastics to increase its durability. And packaging and storage. This is where they spool it into threads that can be used in the printing machines. The considerations for different plastics include PLA is easier to process with lower extrusion temperatures. It's biodegradable, ideal for general purpose 3D printing. PET requires careful temperature control during extrusion. It's flexible and strong and suitable for mechanical parts, while ABS has higher extrusion temperatures and tends to warp without proper cooling. It's good for durable and heat-resistant parts. The challenges of using recycled plastics are maintaining consistent diameter and quality is challenging, especially with recycled plastic. It also has a high initial cost to set up the 3D printing to optimize the facade, to test how it responds to different climatic stimuli before the printing process. Installation would just be as regular modular architecture is done. Next slide, please. Now, how do we make recycled plastic visibly respond to climatic stimuli? We thought of the method of using stimuli responsive additives. These are like thermochromic pigments that change color in presence of different kinds of light or heat. We have the thermal expansion design by material strips where you use two different materials that respond differently to heat or humidity. So the obvious difference in humidity is what creates the response. Sorry, the obvious difference in response to stimuli is what creates the facade. Then we have layered or composite structures. Tuning the polymer structure. This cannot just be done by anyone, but by chemical professionals. And it's usually time consuming. Then we have 4D printing techniques. You can pre-stress the material while printing the facade. This affects its response to different stimuli. You can also use patterns. You can print a certain kind of plastic in a different pattern and another plastic in a different pattern, layering it to get the response that you want. Next slide, please. Now, visual programming is the brain behind the facade. It's what we want to use for design optimization. And it allows for the integration of real-time environmental data, such as sunlight exposure, wind patterns, temperature, and humidity. This data is fed into the parametric model, influencing the design of the facade. I don't know how many of you have heard of visual programming, but it's a recent thing that came into the architecture field. So I know that not a lot of construction professionals are aware of it. It's used in making parametric models like the designs that we see that curve, like Sahara. I can't actually remember we were thinking of something that doesn't use, um, sorry, that is energy efficient. That's why we thought of using plastic that responds. I know plastic is responsive to heat and humidity on a norms, even though it's not something that you notice quickly. But by editing it in the lab, we can make it respond in a shorter time frame. Um, the benefits of using, sorry, we performed a SWOT analysis on this our proposal. This includes the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Among the strengths, we noticed that the solution effectively reduces plastic waste by repurposing it into valuable building materials, thereby addressing a significant environmental challenge. Because I know people are constantly building, they are always building something, and plastic waste is constantly increasing because people are always using plastic. So it's a way to use plastic and reuse it. Then sustainability. The use of recycled plastics in building facades contributes to more sustainable construction practices by lowering the carbon footprint and reducing the demand for virgin materials. 3D and 4D printing technologies allow for innovative, adaptive designs that can respond to environmental conditions in real time, enhancing building performance and occupant comfort. But the weaknesses of this proposal are due to technical challenges, the technology and processes for recycling plastics are still evolving, and there may be inconsistencies in the quality of the recycled material. This may affect durability, strength, and performance compared to traditional building materials, potentially affecting the longevity of the facade components. Then there's the high initial cost for the setup of 3D and 4D printing is also a major challenge to this proposal. But it has great opportunities because there is a high global demand for sustainable building practices, creating a market opportunity for products made from recycled plastics. Increasing government regulation, incentives aimed at reducing plastic waste and promoting building practices can drive the adoption of this solution. And ongoing research and development in material science and 3D and 4D printing technology can improve the quality and performance of recycled plastic. 4D printing is a research field where they are trying to develop 3D printing models into something that respond on their own. Exactly what we were thinking of with these 3D printed facade models. The threats to this proposal are competition from other traditional materials and other sustainable materials, regulatory challenges due to stricter building codes and regulations. There may be a limit to the use of recycled plastics in certain applications, and the market acceptance, because it's something new, and it's very hard to accept something new in the world we are today, because it's not tested and tried. There may be resistance from the construction industry and consumers. The limitations to our study, like the things that stopped us from going in depth, were limited access to advanced recycling facilities in Nigeria, potential biases in stakeholder inputs, environmental impact assessment, economic feasibility analysis, and design simulations. Now, we were not able to meet any professionals in visual programming that we could say should give us a design simulation that we could check and present in this colloquium. And we have no access to professionals in the field of environmental impact assessment and economic feasibility analysis. Also, interviewing people to get their opinions on pollution in Nigeria was also another hard thing, as we're students and we're considered small children, like you just push us away. We also didn't find any facility that recycles plastic here in Jos, that like that high recycling, sorry, advanced recycling methods, that has advanced recycling methods we did not find here in Jos. So that was another big challenge. So Suggestions for further study include a research on material performance analysis, scalability and cost-benefit analysis, integration of renewable energy, social impact assessment, and advanced visual programming. Um, in conclusion, the integration of visual programming and 4D printing demonstrated the potential for facades that dynamically respond to environmental conditions, enhancing energy efficiency and occupancy comfort. Thank you.
Please let's appreciate her once more for this presentation. While the presentation was going on, some of the parents of the department came in. We have the grandfather of the department, Professor Zanzan Uji, just came in. We have Professor Adamu. We have Professor Alukankum. And we have our great HOD, Dr. Lekjep. You're all welcome. So do we have questions from the two presentations made? Any question so that the presenters will respond? You can see that in the near future, we may not have the normal concrete blocks. Very soon, we'll have different walls made of plastic and different materials. So any question? No question? Are we ready to go virtual? So I'll give this time to our HOD. Dr. Lekjep to welcome us. And we'll also welcome him.
Hello. The chairman of this great event, all the professors present here, the Deputy Dean, Professor Alukankum, you are welcome. Professor Adamu, you are welcome, sir. We call him Semiyaki. And other members of staff present here. Students, good morning. Well, I still welcome you again to this second day in this colloquium. And I believe that we had a great day yesterday. Many of us will testify that we have greatly learned from this colloquium. This is an avenue where we need to pay attention and ensure that we return back with something that we have learned greatly. And I want to welcome each and every one of you again, particularly those who are watching us online. We thank you for joining us in this colloquium online. We are believing that all the discussions and all the papers that will be presented will be of great help to the profession and to the building industry in general. And we believe that at the end of this colloquium, all that we have learned will not just end up in our own shelves, but definitely it will be forwarded to all the authorities concerned, and we ensure that drastic action is taken so that at the end of the day, the profession will continue to prosper. So once more, I want to welcome you to this second day, and I believe that this second day will be a great day because scripturally, the Bible says, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. So I believe today, being the greatest of all the days, and I remember that the bottom pot is always the best part of the food. So I am sure, as we are going to crack the bottom pot today, everybody will return back satisfied. Thank you very much, and you are welcome.
So are we ready to go virtual? Thank you, able HOD, for working with us. So while we are waiting the connection, internet connection, I'll call on the next speaker from the postgraduate school for his presentation. I think for this display of products, when the presenter is ready to present, that will be done. For the display of products, I think I told them. Let's clap for the next speaker, please.
Good morning. I greet all parents of the department. I welcome everyone to this colloquium. I am presenting on a topic, systematic review of biophysical architecture, hidden through environmental design. This paper was prepared by candidates of PhD of the department as the author of the paper. David Ezra Nabasu, as my name, Sadish Mukala Umar, Giancarlo Chuan and Paul Magana. We prepared this paper, systematic review of healthcare architecture, leading through environmental design, under the theme, Reimagining Architecture for a Sustainable Future. Next slide. That's the abstract. Biophilic healthcare architecture integrates natural elements. If you have gone to biophilic architecture, or you have read anything about biophilic architecture, it's all about integrating nature into living space. So by leveraging natural light and greenery, water, and sustainable materials, this environment accelerates recovery. The environment naturally accelerates recovery, reduces pain, and it reduces using of medication and reliance on all sorts of medication and lower stress levels. So the keywords of this study: biophilic design, healthcare architecture, natural elements, and sustainability. You cannot discuss biophilic architecture without discussing the father of the philosophy, someone who you cannot discuss biophilic architecture without discussing E.O. Wilson. He was one that coined a hypothesis of biophilia. So, under the design of biophilic architecture, he spoke about all integrated nature into living space. The introduction. So the recent studies highlight the positive impact of biophilic design and the findings that patients with nature use and shorter recovery times and require less pain medication. And other studies like those by Madeleine Gilles and others, 2024, report improvement in patient sleep quality, emotional well-being, and reduced stress level. Let's go to the context. The next slide. The context, please. Allow people to see the slide. Context of biophilic healthcare architecture. Go to the next slide, please. Okay. So the healthcare architecture has shifted from sterile and functional spaces to holistic healing environment. In ancient times, natural landscapes were integral to healing, as seen in Greek as Asklepios, as discussed by Emeka Ebrus and Ebere Donatus, 2018. And in 1984, to tell you that the study has been there for long by Roger Aldrich, showing the healing benefits of natural use, sparked the evidence-based design movement and highlighted the importance of biophilic design, as discussed in 2020. And this approach grounded the biophilia hypothesis, emphasizes the human connection with nature in modern healthcare settings by Keller, 2018. The next slide. The COVID-19 pandemic underscored the need for environments that support both physical and mental health, including improved air quality and stress reduction. While biophilic design may have higher initial costs, it results in long-term savings through better recovery and staff retention. And staff retention by Dr. 2018. So, interdisciplinary approaches are expanding biophilic design to include digital nature integration, smart systems, and personalized environments, further enhancing the healing potential of healthcare spaces. The objective of this study is to evaluate the impact of biophilic design elements in healthcare environments and to develop a comprehensive implementation framework for biophilic healthcare design. The third one is to create innovative design solutions that optimize the integration of natural elements. There are current research development. Let's go to the next slide. Current research development. Go to the next slide, please. Recent studies have significantly expanded the evidence for biological design in healthcare environments. And we have a lot of recent studies, as done by ZAN in 2022, demonstrate that nature-integrated settings improve patient outcomes, such as reduced stress, better sleep, and enhanced emotional well-being. These findings are supported by economic research from the World Green Building in 2021, which suggests that biological design can reduce operational costs by 10 to 15% through shorter patient stays and improved staff pension. All the exposing here is you must not feel headache. It's not every headache that you can't protect. There are other medium architects have access to solving this solution. The future of biomedical healthcare design lies in interdisciplinary approach, integrating knowledge of architecture, environmental psychology, healthcare management, and neuroscience, and sustainability. So this holistic view progresses healthcare environment as complex ecosystems that affect not only patient health, but also staff performance and overall healthcare experiences. Sustainability and environmental impact. All these are hypotheses or derived from the hypothesis of biological design and align well with sustainability goals, supporting energy efficiency, resource conservation, and reduce environmental impact. The rationale behind this study, go to the next page. This study explores the role of biological design in healthcare architecture, advocating for the integration of natural elements to improve patient and staff well-being. The study also addresses sustainability, cost efficiency, proposing solutions like vertical gardens to overcome space and budget limitations. Ultimately, then transform healthcare spaces into healing environments that support both physical and mental health. In the methodology, we deploy primary and secondary data by using literature review and case study analysis.
Oh my God.
The literature review synthesizes industry reports and books on topics like patient recovery, staff satisfaction, and sustainable practices, identifying gaps and challenges in biological design.
Stand up, you're not sure, don't worry.
And the case studies provide real-world examples of healthcare facilities that are successfully implemented by big elements, offering insight into effective applications and outcomes. So the literature review we got this from all these books, all these literature, all these journals. That's where we get the literature review. And we discuss by healthcare architecture. And the research we have here shows that natural use, sunlight, greenery, reduce stress, shorten hospital stays. But not everything can go to hospital. And from the literature, we find that by using natural elements, you can be able to shorten the stay of hospital and also shorten recovery of patients. So overall, it contributes to better health outcomes, improve workplace conditions, and greater sustainability in healthcare. So one of the case studies we involved is Food Tech Point Hospital, Singapore, where natural ventilation you see natural ventilation that reduces energy use and heat. And Food Tech Point Hospital integrates over 100 species of plants, rooftop gardens, vertical greenery, and water plants. We have the go to the next slide, that's the Food Tech Hospital. view of the Kutek Hospital, Singapore. And the second case study, Austria Hospital, Sweden. The Austria Hospital focuses on mental health care with therapeutic practice, large windows for natural light, and diverse education. These features help patients and staff reduce stress, enhance emotional regulation, and improve productivity. This is the view of the emergency psychiatry ward of Austria Hospital as our second case study. The third case study we employed is Mountain Health Ohana Center, California, USA. The Ohana Center uses panoramic views, natural materials, and earth-tone palettes to create child-friendly environment. This biostate element reduces the stigma associated with mental health, treatment, and foster patient comfort and staff morale. This is the view of Mountain Health Ohana Center, California, USA. The findings we got from this study, from our literature review and case study, is based on the literature review. Is the key findings, and they are categorized into three major things. Number one is improve patient recovery and well-being. Number two is enhance staff well-being and performance. Number three is environmental and economic benefits, where we discuss biofleet design that contribute to energy efficiency with natural ventilation and daylighting, reducing operational costs, as seen in hospitals like 10 point. And overall, findings here is biofleet healthcare design against patient outcomes, staff well-being, and sustainability, offering a holistic approach to healthcare. Conclusion. Biofleet healthcare architecture integrates natural elements into medical facilities to enhance healing and well-being. The innovative design approach provides significant benefits for patients, staff, and the environment. Patients experience faster recovery, reduce stress, and lower medication needs, while healthcare workers enjoy improved job satisfaction and reduce burnout. So by creating holistic healing environment that connects humans to nature, this architectural philosophy represents a transformative approach to medical facility design. So we employ all architects to integrate nature into living space. From that to shorten so many things, recovery, and so many factors that has to do with our health. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope we are writing down questions. We give you the opportunity to ask, get feedback from our presenters. And from the last presenter, I'm sure if our hospitals are designed like the slides we saw, case study they did, even if I recover, I not want to go back. The hospital walls are looking like hotels, and I'm being taken care of. I don't think I'll go back home, because if I go back home, I may fall sick again. So they should just bring me a room in the hospital and just continue to stay. Thank you for that presentation. Do we have questions on the presentation made so far?
What an angle. Which kind of workers angle?
Any presentation?
Workers
Still
angle.
waiting for internet connection?
Set that for good angle. Yes, sir.
Okay. No.
I get any crap.
Design, mobile architecture. Design, mobile architecture is not solely for medical institutions. You can employ it in other areas, even your home, everywhere. So it's not strictly, it does the same thing. It helps with your well-being, but it also can be used as a strategy for hostels, for homes, for offices, and things like that. So I just want to correct that impression. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. So biophilia design can be introduced in all aspects of our life, whether our residential, our commercial areas, our institutional areas, our facilities. Any more contribution? Whether from the presenters or the students or our fathers here? Any more contribution? I think we can be connected to the presenters online. Okay? So let's listen attentively. Please increase the volume. So we can hear our presenter.
Country record. This time, just go to the time for that report. Yes. And we are here now. Are you ready to vote? And then I will certainly sit up at that. Please go ahead.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Once more, we are listening to a presentation from Port Harcourt, from Professor Warame Brisbane, one of us. So we are going to allow him to comment, and then we'll go on. And while he is, one of our guest speakers came in from Kano, in person of architect Amina Mohammed. Prof will be on shortly.
He's on already.
Volume.
Something that is ongoing. Two of them have been about the same time. But it all boils down to achieving sustainable heritage conservation in Nigeria. And so I titled it Achieving Sustainable Heritage Conservation in Nigeria, an Odyssey. And the reason is the journey that I have embarked on in the last 5 years. sort of like standing on the shoulders of giants that have been there before. And a number of them will remain here in this presentation, and we'll go on to where we have gone, where we have reached so far, what we've done so far, what we are. I hope that. So I'll just continue. My name is Rizwe. I'm Professor of Natural Heritage Architecture. I work at University, and I also am a graduate professor of architecture at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, as well as the Niger Delta University, Amasoma, and also the guest lecturer at the University of Manchester School of Architecture. And in all these areas, what I am doing is I work with the teams there on each side on vernacular heritage architecture. You can go on with the presentation. What you can see before you is the Jekyll house. Now I'll just go through the stand, almost like a bullet train. But I'll ask that you follow me because I'll tread something across all the slides that I hope at the end of the presentation will culminate.
Recording stopped. Sorry about that.
Yes, we can hear you.
I think I'm having some issues with the sharing. For some reason, I am no longer the host, I think.
We can hear you before. We can hear you.
Yes, but can you see the screen?
No.
Okay, so yes, the idea was not for you to see my face for the screen, but I think someone else is the host, so it's not permitting me to share the screen. It would be nice to share the screen. So can you? I still share. Yes. I think you have my slides. Maybe if you could put up the slides, I'll continue. Yes. And then moved up to another group by the late architect Henry Porter. Architect Henry Porter was the first architect to it was built only two copies were built in Port Harcourt. Few of these locations. It is actually museum, the old GRA in Port Harcourt. You can notice that it's pretty much the same thing as it was before. But you would also notice that the roof is different. They had removed the original roof structure and replaced it with corrugated roof sheet. They just did this about a week before I came to take the snapshot of the picture. They had also filled up
Thank you very much. So we've just finished. Are there any more students for presentation? Okay. There's a poster from Saudi Arabia that was sent in today. Can I have that flex? Please. Mr. Bachi, can we have the flex from Saudi Arabia? Okay. Can we have it stapled? Unfortunately, they are writing their exams in Saudi Arabia now, but we just want to at least have him have the benefit of his work being displayed in Nigeria, an undergraduate student like many of you here. Do you have what to pin it on? Thank you. So pin up his work next to Professor Uji's own. That's a real treat for you to have your work side by side with the professor. There's a QR code so that you can see what is under it. And I'm hoping that students will learn something from this. Our registration today was done QR code. Everything, we are not using paper. So everything is not about money. Where's Professor Awa with the AI? Where? Oh, okay. This is what he's talking about. Yes. Daylighting utilization in educational buildings. Who can read the Arabic for us, even though I think they have both Arabic and English. Professor. Okay. Please. Who are the daylighting experts here? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Those that can watch the virtual, watch on your phones. That's what we are saying. We are not disrespecting at all. Architect Dr. Audu, is this not yours? Is thermal comfort? Okay. Please, can we just have two of our? Can we have our professor of sustainability, please? Please, Prof. Can you just interpret what this is for the benefit of the student?
Thank you very much. The poster is talking about artificial lighting and what it does, its responsibility, and the level daylight can light the interiors of our environment. And in the video, you see how daylight can be utilized in classroom experience, so that when people are being taught, when people are studying in classroom, they will be able to gauge what percentage of daylight can be used in the day teaching period or learning period. I think that was the research, and they were able to conduct the research and had 4 different experiences. The results shows that that it helped, that their experience and the lab testing that they did showed that harvesting daylight for learning is very good. It has even improved the learning process. It has improved us to know, even in research, what ratio of window openings that we need to allow the light to come in. So that's what I have seen so far, and it shows that it is an advantage for us, especially those of us that have the opportunity and have sunlight. Some don't even have this opportunity. So it is encouraged us to allow as much as possible the use of daylight in our classrooms. Thank you very much. Do we have more contributions?
I stand here just to contribute sustainable development or sustainable growth in architecture. I always connect sustainability to my own area, which is traditional architecture. traditional architecture contains very crucial strategies and components that can be integrated into our modern, contemporary designs in our built-up environment. Now, one serious thing that we must really understand is that global building activities contribute over 90% to global warming than any other activity in the world. That means architects are responsible to the development of global warming in the world. Can you imagine we are just like all of us are criminals? because our activities, buildings covers most of our environment. And the building activity right from the manufacture of building materials, from the factories, and then through transportation, through our activities of construction, and also when we live in our homes. Most of our residential buildings, we use electricity for cooling and lighting. And this cooling and lighting, not only we are cooling, so we use AC units. We, as architects, must understand what is sustainability and how can we bring it into our built-up areas, our modern designs, our temporary designs. And what I'm saying is that as a traditionalist, that means as a traditional architect, I'm thinking of developing something like traditional modernism. Traditional modernism is borrowing or getting inspiration from traditional architecture strategies that we can incorporate in our modern design. We find out that modern design we are so used when we build fans, AC, we use lighting instead of using daylighting, instead of us to use natural cross ventilation. We all rely on mechanical means for cooling our buildings and for lighting our buildings. In which if you look at traditional strategies, they don't use all this. But we find out the buildings are very comfortable. They are more comfortable than even the buildings we design. We design here, we provide quiet buildings where we provide radiation into our interior. And it becomes a problem to us. But when you look at traditional architecture, look at traditional buildings, sometimes we just dismiss them as primitive, or as law, something dirty, but we never get really study these buildings. We never get to study them. We never get to understand the logic behind all the components of traditional architecture. If we get to study this, we will discover that actually they are very efficient because they are very comfortable in our building. So actually, that's my idea is of an architect. I would like that as we design our buildings, we always think of sustainability. We must try, whatever means, to introduce sustainable strategies into our modern designs. And we can always do that, or easily do that, if we get to study traditional architecture. Thank you very much.
thanks to Dr. Umar who will make his contribution.
Morning. The topic before us, the effect that has been pasted before us, which is a research that has been carried out on, daylight. And you know that daylighting is part of sustainable architecture. I believe students who are here today, particularly the MSc students, you soon be submitting topics now for your research. And most of you will always say daylighting is your subtopic. I just want to look at what this research has, what the students who are MSc students as well have done in this research. If you look at their aim, you will see that their aim is assess the possibility of utilizing daylighting in university classroom in architectural and engineering department. I want you, particularly you as students here, to use our own department of architecture as an example. Will you say that natural daylighting has been utilized? Natural daylighting. Of course, all you use that studio and you know that we have efficiency when it comes to lighting in our studio. And again, talking about sustainability, you agree with me that you have to factor sustainable energy utilization. You must also factor daylighting in your building. You can see that instead they have there, they are looking at the depth of the building and they are seeing how far daylighting can get to. You will see that the percentage that each of the activities going on in that space, if you see that section, you will see the person that is that sits closer to the opening, window opening, gets more light, more daylight. But as the light penetrates, it reduces in intensity. That shows that having another window at the other side will enhance better daylighting in that enclosure. Being that lighting will be coming from this facade of the building, and of course, we are having lighting from the other facade. That is why we have always emphasized that when you are talking of daylighting, you need to do a lot of studies, on lighting. If you use the example of where we are, you will see that effective daylighting has been factored into this all. You can see that we're here yesterday till much later in the evening. Yet we have sufficient daylight. Even if there is no lighting, you can see that daylighting is sufficient for us. That takes me back to what Prof. Edgar said about the wall-window ratio, one factor that is used when you are designing for daylighting. You must, ensure that the wall-window ratio is adequate, that we bring sufficient daylighting into the interior. There are other areas that you can also utilize. You can also utilize the roof lighting. That's to say, when you are designing, for a studio, even though it's going to be a complex of building, you can equally have the use of atrium. Atrium allows you to bring in light within, the mass of the building. That, enhances the tapping of daylight into all your interior. So I want you to, by the time we are done with, I want a situation where you can all have a picture of this so that you can study better. And of course, it's going to be of immense benefit to those of you that will be, coming up with a topic on daylight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for that contribution. I think we have a question. Are you ready with your question?
Good morning, professors and lecturers. Good morning to students as well. My question is as regards to the presentation on biophilic design. In designing a biophilic building, things to be put into consideration is the natural lighting, efficient natural ventilation, use of plants, natural elements, and even water elements. So my question is, should the choice of material also be considered when designing a biophilic building, when constructing a biophilic design? And if yes, what kind of material is suitable for the construction of biophilic design? And I have another question. How can we incorporate biophilic design in an existing building?
Okay. So, anyone can answer. We have, but we'll allow the presenter answer the question first, and then we'll give room for all contributions.
Thank you for the question. The choice of materials is very vital. We have our doctor here who spoke about the traditional architecture. We have different natural materials like bamboo. We have many of them. You know, an existing building again, you can renovate the house. Make sure it those natural elements into that space. In fact, very, very vital. You can't build a house, without such things, and to make any sense. What are the questions?
What kind of materials?
The natural materials. I mentioned bamboo. Bamboo is, I think, one of the perfect natural materials we have around that you can integrate into your design. And we are talking of greenery, such like plants. We have plants around. We have plants everywhere that you can use. In fact, when you are designing, think of those things. Think of those things. Think of any natural materials you can bring stones. In plateau, we have many stones that you can, you make sense from them. Am I making sense to you? Eh? So, thank you. Prof will conclude.
I'm not adding place, not concluded. We have natural material, and you mentioned you can use some things. And as long as the plants, there are plants that will also so those plants that are human friendly, that don't have toxins in them, can incorporate. And when you have an existing building, you want to make that building have some sense of biophilic applications on it. You will do what we call retrofits. When you retrofit your building, it means you incorporate items. I want to use the language that at ESP understand. You want to use those materials, those strategies that will incorporate sustainability. So you retrofit by incorporating them, by making provision, planting plants around, or even on facade or the roof, and incorporate it, and increasing your openings to allow sunlight. Those are the kind of interventions that you can have, strategies that you can have in existing buildings that need to comply with sustainability. go in a lesser to comply with by failing adaptation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any more contributions? Okay, so we'll go on to the next presentation. Next presenter, are you ready? So just keep on writing your questions. We'll give room for questions later.
Good morning, the Chairman, my distinguished officers, my head of department, my father in the department. I'm going to stand the already existing protocol. I'm here with trepidation because who am I to stand before my mothers and my fathers? My supervisors are here, friends are here, everybody is here. So permit me, as a child, to stand in front of his parents, one or two floors that you come up. All right. My name is David Hassan. I'm still a student of the University of Jos. I'm here to just run through my MSc thesis, part of the dissertation and the project together here. So, can you go on the next slide, please? I'm presenting on proposed architectural conservation of Rochas Plaza, just Terminal. It's a popular building, most of you passed there, you may not know. There is a British building. The building used to stand alone by the time it was around about 1. You will permit me to just read the abstract. This is to keep me from talking off point because I think time is much of here. Arochas Plaza, located in Plateau State, Nigeria, is a significant historic piece of architecture fashioned in Afro-Brazilian style. However, the building has suffered uniquely from the utilization and the threat of demolition, as interior situations were observed with interior functions and exterior public. This thesis explores the potential of preserving Rochas Plaza through retrofitting for its adaptive reuse. Our professor just spoke about retrofitting right now. The research employed a mixed method approach combining archival research, case studies, on-site surveys, and stakeholders consultation. This was what we did to be able to arrive at the final product. Okay, this study was undertaken to understand the building's architectural character, historical significance, and challenges hindering its current use. Based on this understanding, the thesis proposed a design-led approach to propose retrofitting interventions that respected the historic character, architectural integrity of the building, while creating new functionalities that adapt to the contemporary need in response to immediate touristic and vehicular circulation needs of the environment. The design proposals are informed by principles of sustainability. Mama Razmatas is here, she will agree with me. Conservation address architectural, sociocultural, touristic, and economic consideration. The project aimed to demonstrate how adaptive reuse can be a viable strategy for conserving historic buildings like Rochas Plaza. The proposed interventions are expected to breathe new life into the plaza, fostering cultural vibrancy and economic development within the central business district of Jos. Next slide. What is the problem? The problem is that the building has been standing there. The building has a reputation of being the first indigenous story building hotel that was built in the CBD of Jos with modern materials. The building was built in the 40s, and as it is with other buildings around it, it's under threat. It's actually facing the threat of being destroyed. Other buildings around it have been demolished. It has been defaced. But right now, it's the only one standing with an architectural character. The style of those of you doing current issues, the style of this building is Afro-Brazilian architecture. If you look at its features, if you look at its character, it stood out. It welcomed visitors. It used to be known as Gold Leaf Hotel. And the owner actually wanted it to compete with Hill Station Hotel and the likes of Sheraton and others in Nigeria. But while you are in Jos, it's meant to accommodate tourism. But as it is right now, the building is the threat of being destroyed for building new buildings. We build all kinds of massive hotels these days. Next slide, please. The aim of the study is to assess the current situation of Rochas Plaza as a historic monument with a desire to conserve the building through restoration and retrofitting for adaptive reuse. Two of my beautiful sisters spoke about adaptive reuse yesterday, so we'll not go so much into adaptive reuse. Next slide. Objective is to assess the concept of conservation and its practice in sustainable historic building. Secondly, to carry out survey of Rochas Plaza in its current state of realities, right? Understand the various phases of the building's functional use. Then thirdly, to design, retrofit Rochas Plaza for adaptive reuse to promote tourism and economic benefits. The client needs to have value for his money. At the same time, giving a facelift to the city. All right, next slide. Okay, so we just looked at what architectural conservation is. It is the process of retaining the authentic built form of a historic building through preservation, maintenance, restoration, reconstruction, and adaptive reuse. And I got this definition from icons. Types of adaptive or architectural conservation, we have number one, we have preventive or preservation, which is preventive conservation. Number two, we have maintenance or repairs conservation, which most of us are familiar with. The third one is restoration. Restoration is more of remediating. You take it back to where it was at a point in time. You take it back to a timeline where it was, using the same material to get back what was there before. The next is reconstruction. Unlike restoration, reconstruction uses more modern materials because older materials are gone with that era. We might not find a new material, for example, a particular kind of timber that was used for that element of the building is no longer there. We could be making it with either concrete, polystyrene, or cement. So reconstruction means we bring it back, take the form, take it back by using a different contemporary material that will serve. Then we have adaptive reuse, which most of our work is based on. Next slide. Okay, this is a table, it's not so clear, that explains the different strategies for the conservation, from the preservation, maintenance, restoration, reconstruction, and adaptive reuse. Next slide, please. Retrofitting. Okay, so retrofitting architecture, like the professor just started introducing what I'm about to talk about, refers to the process of modifying an historic building to incorporate modern systems, materials, technologies, and components without compromising authenticity. Authenticity means originality, what was there before, the intention of the designers and the users. So, which includes its original historic, social, and architectural character. Okay? Essentially, retrofitting is a balancing act that preserves a building's historic integrity while improving its functional or energy efficiency. So when we talk about retrofitting, we're talking about increasing the ability of the building such that it can serve a contemporary need or use. You make it more functional, you make it more usable. Now, you integrate things like light. The professor talked about light. You increase the size of your openings, you make sure ventilation flows, you make sure it consumes less energy, you incorporate renewable energy like solar, and other things that will enhance energy efficiency in the building. So retrofitting is actually enhancing the capacity of the building to perform more than what it was meant to do from the inception. Meanwhile, we're talking about historic buildings here. Next slide. Okay, these are all definitions of adaptive reuse. Okay, now we talk about adaptive reuse. The sisters yesterday made justice to it, but let's just go through it. Okay, now it is defined as what? Repurposing an old building to meet contemporary need. It's like you have somebody who is old, somebody who is not born in your time, and you are fashioning the person. You are incorporating things that will enable the person function as though you were living in your time right now. So it's like you have a grandfather, okay, who is not there, who is almost going, but you are incorporating systems into him, enhancing his health, enhancing his well-being, so he can remain alive for posterity purposes. All right. Now, in ICOMOS, it emphasizes that successful adaptive reuse retains the cultural heritage significance of a building while adapting it for new compatible use. Essentially, adaptive reuse offers a sustainable future to historic buildings by breathing new life into the past, preserving their heritage while serving contemporary needs. Next slide, please. Building reuse. Types of adaptive reuse, we have building reuse, and under that we have full reuse. That's the full building. We have partial reuse, which is just part of the building. And then we also have facades. The emphasis on facadism yesterday, you carry out everything but retaining the face of the building. You don't touch the face of the building, but you can remodify the walls and the functions inside. And that is what facadism is all about. Next slide. So that's under building reuse. The next one is infrastructure reuse. And that is talking about the whole site, the building and its immediate environment, landscape and everything. So we have like transportation, an old railway station, an airport, a motor park, or an industrial site, or a waterfront, or a park, or garden, or whatever it may be. So it involves not just the building now, but the vicinity and everything that comes with it. Next slide, the third one. Then we have heritage conservation. And we talk about adaptive restoration. That means restoring it back to where it was before, with everything the way it was. If there was no electricity when the building was built, restore it without electricity. When you add electricity to it, you have retrofitted it because when it was built, there wasn't electricity. Then we talk about rehabilitation. This is a more flexible approach that allows for some modernization while still preserving the essential character of the building. So what are we talking about here? Adaptive reuse, retrofitting, architectural conservation, all are part of one family. We're talking about making an old building that has outlived its function or its purpose, making it more functional to serve us in our generation without compromising its architectural integrity, its aesthetic quality, historical significance, and cultural relevance. Next slide. Okay, so we have the benefits, we have environmental benefits, which was talked about yesterday. I won't take time. We have social benefits, and then we have other benefits. They made this slide for want of time. Next slide. Okay, so consequence of architectural retrofitting. When we talk about retrofitting, what are we looking at? Number one, preservation of heritage value. Authenticity has to be respected. You have to leave the building in its original form, thereby doing little alterations on it. Compatibility, that when you apply new materials, it does not alter the building's original, function. Number two, reversibility, so that future alterations that are made can be removed without affecting the building. Now, most of the times when you lease buildings to people and people rent your house, they leave holes, they leave all kinds of things, they demolish some parts. In retrofitting or under reversibility, when new materials are applied, when they are removed, it does not alter the building. Then energy efficiency. Enhancement of lighting, like I said earlier, ventilation, insulation, and integration of new renewable energy systems. Now, accessibility. While I carry out retrofitting, the building must be accessible. When we talk about accessibility here, I look at this building and we only have ramp outside. And someone mentioned yesterday as if the ramps were at afterthought. Now, we don't have ramps here. If I'm disabled and I need to go up there, I can't access. So the building's interior is inaccessible because ramp was not provided for people with disability. So while doing that, accessibility is very important. If when the building was constructed, it was only staircases, this time around, while retrofitting it, to incorporate ramps so that all kinds of persons can access the building in and out within escape distances. Next slide. We have structural reinforcement. This talks about the structural integrity, stability. We talk about accessibility, improvement, having ramps and lifts and escalators, modern things to make the building more functional. Then we talk about HVAC, that's heating, ventilation, air conditioning, okay, and plumbing. Most buildings have this problem that when you're carrying out retrofitting, the first things you look at are the plumbing and the electrical. They need to be changed. In most cases, when buildings are more than 10 years, these factors will need to be looked at seriously. And fire safety, very important. Upgrading fire protection systems. Where there were no fire extinguishers, incorporating materials also by design are fire resistant or fire retardant. Next slide. Components of retrofitting, we have preserving heritage, okay, it's like reputation. Can we go next slide? Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so retrofitting offers opportunities to create innovative solutions that blend functional spaces with traditional craftsmanship and modern technologies, all while preserving the socio-cultural significance of the building. Emphasis. Next slide. Okay, we carried out case studies, about 5 case studies, but I think only 3 or 4 was presented here. Number 1, we looked at the Royal Opera House in Mumbai, India. The year of the building was there 1909 to 1915. Most of these buildings were not built just in a year, like we do in Nigeria. 6 months we finish building. Most historic buildings take time to be built. We looked at the architect, just a few information was extracted and published here. So we see the building's former use and its current use after retrofitting. So we can see that it was used as an opera house at the beginning, but right now, and as a cinema, but right now it's used as an opera house. Space and time constraint. I have more slides to this that shows the old and the new, what it was before and what it is. The former picture up there was the rear part of the building, the southern part of the building before restoration, and what it looks like right now. Our poor quality glare here is not allowing us to see it clearly. Next slide. So that's case study 1. Case study 2, we look at Robbie Slipper House in New Orleans, that is this of America. Originally the building was a woodwork factory. But right now, when retrofitted in 2015 to 2017, it is now used as the administrative headquarters with a cafe and a restaurant hall. So we talked about what mixed use here. So it's an old building, the fabric is still retained. The picture at the top there shows what the building used to be before, at the left top corner, while the right top corner is what it was retrofitted. It's showing the ancient and the modern, or the old and the new, while the picture down shows the interior of the upper floor that is used as a restaurant and cafe currently. Next slide. Case study 3. Professor Warabi, unfortunately, we couldn't get him. He started talking about this building in his presentation. This is the Jack House, one of my favorite restored buildings in Nigeria. Okay, it's located in Ekuta, Lagos. It was built in 1988, used as residential house for the director of Nigeria Railway Corporation. It's an Afro-Brazilian style architectural materials with timber, steel, and glass. So it's a modern building, even though older than 50 to 80 years. And then right now, currently it's being used as a museum. It displays some of the artifacts and the things that were used when the first came to Nigeria. So that is that. We saw the building when it was restored. We couldn't get the floor plan, it's not so clear. Next is the Residency Museum House in Calabar. When Calabar used to be the seat of government in Nigeria, this was the house that the colonial administrators resided. It was built in 1884. It's also an Afro-Brazilian style. Materials used were timber, steel, and glass. Most of it were fabricated from overseas, Europe, and then came and assembled here. The building was neglected for some time until 1986 when the state government did it to create a monument, a state monument. Currently, it's being used as a museum. Everything that was used while the colonial administration were using this building, are still being displayed within the interiors of the building. Next slide. Okay, so we're back to our site now. So I'm going to the site. This is how the road network and the location of the site is. Unfortunately, the colors are not coming out. We have the primary building, and then we have the building that was added up later. So next slide. So we have the existing floor plan of the building showing the current building and what was added later in red, and that is to be demolished. That part is where it's to be retrofitted. Because what was approved by the State Development Authority is the one at the right that houses the hotel. The one on the left, which is lock-up shops, was integrated later, and approval was not properly taken by JMD. So it got caught up with Executive Order 003, and that is supposed to go. And so it became an opportunity for the client to retrofit this building by incorporating what is functional. Now, inside the courtyard, which is accessed from Rambam Street, parkings in front of the building, the park for barracks, bazaar, is there. It's a very crowded, all kinds of people are there, umbrella women selling all kinds of things, plantain. The place is crowded and rowdy. And so it became an opportunity for us to, while carrying out retrofitting, to do something different. Something that will take care of the traffic problem, number one. Number two, it will boost the historic building, to emphasize the historic building and make it functional without touching it. That is to say, we look at it and what would bring revenue if we demolish the side on the left. How can the client get value for his money? How can he, so a parking space, which is a problem in the CBD of Jos, became the immediate alternative. So we have seen that if the parking spaces are meant to house and the hotel is restored to what it was before, people will have adequate spaces to park, not just as residents in the hotel or clients in the hotel, but it can be commercialized. People can pay for 1 year parking, people can pay for 6 months parking. You have a permanent space where when you come, I mean, proximity just is a when you rebound, the just airport is functional. People can park their cars here, board a taxi to the airport, come back, sleep in the hotel, and then continue their journey up to the north or wherever they are coming from. So this became the next point of call. Let's go to the next one. This is the existing floor plan. Okay, then we have the ground floor plan. This is the first floor plan. The first floor plan we have. Currently, the building is being partitioned into all kinds of uses. Lock-up shop, people doing restaurants, mama puts, selling spots, bookshops, and all kinds of things there. Partitions were made, the building is defaced and altered. It actually threatened, in all ways. Next slide, please. So we have the existing second floor plan where the shops on the left stop. You can see the roof over them. And then we have the current building only coming up at this point in time. Next slide. This is the roof plan. This is the existing roof plan. Everything is the way it is right now. So we couldn't find the floor plans. Even after going to GMP, we couldn't find it. So I had to go to site and take measurements, physical measurements, reproduce this, go back to reconcile the measurements until everything was exactly the way it existed. So this is a protocol of site work. Next slide. So this is the site spatial distribution work on how we intend to utilize the site. We intend to leave courtyard because of sustainability. Climate change is bringing a lot of heat island in urban areas right now. And courtyard is one of the traditional ways in Africa by which we carry out cross ventilation through the use of stack. So we still want to retain the courtyard. So the courtyard is at the core. The parent building, existing building, still be retained, while we have the multi-story car park on the top and the bottom part of it, which is the left and right part of the wing. And then we have them to be, because we are constrained, we just have like 4 plots of land there. The next property belongs to someone. So we need to walk within the perimeter. That's one of the constraints that we have. So we had to make use of 2 ramps, one-way traffic, one going up, while coming down the other way. Next slide, please. Okay, this is showing the existing versus the proposed. There are red, blue, and green lines. The green lines are for walls to be introduced. The red lines exteriors of the walls to be demolished, while the black walls to be retained. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so right now this is what is proposed. The current building is still standing on the left, while the right is what is proposed. Next slide. This is the existing floor plan. This is what was proposed. And then we have a drop-off such that when you are entering the hotel from the front, you can see it from the right-hand side. You don't need to go into the parking area. You just drop off and then drive down and then exit from Roundabout Street. While we have two rounds, the immediate round you see, please go back to the first round. Okay? The first round to your right is one-way traffic going up, while the one towards the left is actually exiting the building. Or rather, sorry, the one to the left is actually going up, and then the one to the right is actually what we use to exit the building. So ground floor, what do we have? We have a lounge, we have a restaurant, we have an exhibition hall. We discovered that from research, we don't have an exhibition. Besides Luca Benton Indoor Theatre, we don't have a place where people can exhibit artworks within the city center. That tourists at site who are just resting and waiting for their next flight can actually relax and get themselves acquainted with the city, with actually how the city looks like. So we have a lounge, we have toilet facilities, then we have a round where there was a staircase, we converted it to a round, and then we brought the staircases to the extreme corners of the buildings, taking care of escape distance, so people can escape within an ample time. You know. Next slide. So on the first floor, we have a hall down, on the right-hand side rather, okay, and a lounge up that will take care of like a museum. The building will exhibit itself. The building will tell its own story, you know, what it used to be before. Pictures of buildings that were built earlier on, the activities that were going on there, about the building, about its history, just like Jacket House in Lagos, just like Legacy House in Calabar, and just like other case studies like the first alleged story building in Nigeria, in Badagry, which was a home for ex-slaves like Bishop Ajayi Crowder and the rest of them. This building will tell its own story, and that is why everything needs to be retained, it needs to be authentic in its own built form. So now, when that is done, partially you have the curator's office and the manager alongside, and then accommodation, 3 types of accommodation, 3 types of rooms. We have the small, the medium, and the large rooms. It's not so clear. But I believe that if we view it online, it's... Next slide. So we went to the second floor. The second floor is accommodation. We restored the building to what it used to be before, the hotel accommodation. Now, due to noise level, we made all the public facilities where people make a lot of noise down. One stairs, the last floor, we have, or the second floor, we have the accommodation. So people can, as you go up, noise diminishes. Okay. One thing I didn't mention in this building is that we retrofitted the walls because it's a very noisy area. We padded the walls by putting some lighting materials, insulation materials to check the noise level. While in the heat of the afternoon, you are resting in your room. You don't have the noise of bikes, the noise of people selling, market and everything. It does not go into the interior while you're taking your rest. Next slide. Okay, so this is the roof plan. The third floor was not incorporated here, but you will see it in the 3D or the animation which will be played later as soon as I finish. In the third floor, or the last floor, we have just an open pavilion where people can just sit. Typical of most city hotels, it is boring at night. There is no nightlife. We're talking about tourism. Tourism happens at any part of the day. Whether in the morning, in the afternoon, tourists can come in and they want to have a feel of what your city looks like. And so we have a place where they can take massa, they can take a concert can be played there, they can have some entertainment. So the topmost floor is roofed, it's translucent with all sides open. So that rainy season is not an excuse, does not keep the place from being functional. Whether during the rains, whether during the dry season, the place is keep functional. People can just come in, just go up there, make use of this hotel. Tourists can be at home, rest, decide just down in their rooms and watch TV. Next slide. Okay, so this is the longitudinal section of the drawings. You see the sitting up there, the third floor, you see some chairs up there. The roofing type is lattice frame, tubular steel structure. You can see the rounds of the sections. Next slide. So we have the transverse section showing the roof type, the structures, the courtyard inside, sorry, an atrium, not the courtyard, an atrium, because it's roofed above it. So the translucent material allows light to go deep down while people are seated in the hall of the building. Next slide. Okay, we have a diagonal section, sort of like this, so it will show how the roof trusses are arranged. And then we took opportunity to walk through the round so you could see how the round links the old and the new structure together. There are walls in red, walls in green, and walls in black. So this is showing the relationship between the old and the new in section. Next slide. So the next slide is the elevation. This is another elevation. This is what it looks like. So you can see the parent structure, okay, of the building on the right-hand side, while that which is on the left is integrated. Now somebody asks, why is it a juxtapose? Why is it not marrying each other? There's actually a marriage, there's actually a harmony. But we didn't want to use old materials that are rigid, the same materials in the old building, which is concrete, only reinforced concrete. We wanted to use something more and something that tomorrow when the building's use has changed, the building is very flexible to adjust to either administrative, either commercial, or whatever kind of usage. That's why we use grid, and the columns were well positioned. So in terms of adaptive reuse in the future, the building is actually flexible to be used. So we have the same things we have in the current building, they are replicated in the new building, but they were done with stone. They were done with lightweight material. Next slide. So all through the elevations, they showed that you see the ramps in between the floors going up. Next slide. Keep going. The eastern elevation. This is now the western elevation. If you're standing from where Mama Tapu used to be, that's what you see. This is exactly the old and the new married together in a two. Next slide. Okay, so we have the southern elevation of the building. If you're standing from Zenith Park, this is what you see. While if you're standing from Rambam Street, this is the exit point of the building. Next slide. Okay, this is from the other side of the water below it. Okay, all right. So these are the perspectives showing the different views of the building in relation with other buildings. Okay, so as soon as the slides, can you just play the video and get it running? Okay. You go back to the summary, go back to the summary, do some more. Okay. Okay, it was introduced at the concept of architectural conservation, which is the practice of prolonging the lifespan of a historic building from deterioration without altering its historical, architectural, and socio-cultural integrity. This is distinguished from physiological conservation of artifacts. We had a curator who spoke to us yesterday. You know, it's achieved by specially trained experts through preservation, maintenance, restoration, and adaptive reuse strategies. Adaptive reuse, which is the repurposing of existing buildings for new use or for a new use, is the end result of restoration and retrofitting. More historic buildings in Plateau and Nigeria to retrofitting for adaptive reuse. Next slide. And then we conclude by saying retrofitting historic buildings for adaptive reuse allows us to preserve these buildings for future generations while finding a practical use for them. This is besides character and charm they offer. The one that is just restored and recommissioned in Paris. People travel, whether you are a Christian or Muslim, just to go and see it. So that is tourism in itself. So what we're saying is that this can lead to what? Innovation and unexpected design solutions. So architects will be put to work, as well as buildings that are what? Uniquely adapted to what? Their surroundings. In the long run, this sustains the historical, architectural, and cultural integrity of such buildings by boosting tourism and contributing economic benefits to a state like Plateau and Nigeria at large. Recommendations. We recommended after the studies, we made a recommendation that education and enlightenment, most citizens are not educated. Unlike the Western world, historic buildings are preserved. We demolish them and build new ones. So the history of that place is lost. The people there lost. A good example of such is the name Ibrahim Taiwo we used to have. Ibrahim Taiwo Road has been changed into. Mama Tapu has been demolished. The NYC, our children will grow up and not know the historical significance why these things existed. So citizens need to be educated. Then we need to enact what conservation policy. Currently in the state there is none. We need to do that so that can direct serve as a criteria for the survey and listing of historic buildings for conservation. Then we have to declare state of emergency on an endangered history. We have lots of them in the old Jos City Center and most part of the northern part of Nigeria. All we do is demolish these ones and build new ones. When people come, the city has no history. So the government needs to declare a state of emergency and recollect this and preserve these buildings. Next slide, please. Number 4. We need to synergize between professionals. The work of architecture, either conservationists, other professionals need to be involved. Then our tertiary institution training and curriculum adjustment. Currently, University of Jos, we only have it as a course. It can become a program. I know architectural conservation at PGD level. I know 2 universities do that. And we're beginning to have professors of conservation architecture or architectural conservation. One of such was where the people couldn't come up online. So beyond just a semester course, it can become a program. When architects get involved in this decision and will start. Yes. Okay, so I think we can run the video now. Slide. So unfortunately it's not so clear. This is a video animation of showing the blend of the new and the old and retrofitted. Coming from Amatabu now, actually, this road leads to both good news, but we're not going there. We're stopping at our building. So this is the entrance where you have a security checkpoint and ticketing house there. Aerial view of the old building still retained. So we're entering the new parking spaces below. We have to put burglaries to keep from people entering and stealing the batteries and car stereos of people. So you can see the upper part of the rooftops or lattice process and the transactions material allows lighting and ventilation. So thank you. As you look through the slides, thank you. My time is up. Then we have a presentation model here. I'll leave it here for those who don't want to take a look later. I'll just move it to that side. Thank you.
We are honored to have the presence of Architect Taylor from Fiscal Facilities. You're welcome, sir. We have Professor Awa. You're welcome, sir. We have Dr. We did not introduce you because the chair will come and introduce you properly when you come up for the presentation. So I'd like to give this time to our grandfather of the department, Professor Zanzan, for his presentation. Father of the presentation and grandfather of the presentation. Welcome, sir. So I was right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here. The topic is landlocked creek, evolution of landlocked creek. The whole idea is that although I initiated the research, I have a team. I have a very able team that works with me. We are calling it landlocked creek because I initiated it. But we have a team that works with me all the way from beginning to end. Professor, let me name them, and they will stand up for recognition. Professor Eric Betan, Ola Adizat. Professor Adamu Tadita. Architect Inaningu, Ella. Why did you come down? Lie down again. For 1 minute, and you will sit down. Professor Kanko Ishaya, he was here yesterday. Before he became the Vice Chancellor, he was a member of our team on this work. And then we have able assistant, Chibuwe, Medu, Larry Long. Okay, you got it. Okay, you get it for recognition. Now, when I started this work, it was simply a question of interlocking. The motivation came from some of the problems we're having, natural disasters, man-made disasters, and things like that. And a lot of people will be being displaced, especially in the middle belt of Nigeria. And they will be ported into a holding center. Now, eventually, the government thought about camps, IDP camps, but they have a lot of problems. So what came to my mind was to try to find a way of intervening in producing what could be designated as semi-permanent IDP camp. Because I realized that many people stayed in IDP camps which were supposed to be temporary, but ended up staying there for up to 3 years, 4 years. A lot of them are still in IDP camps. Now, what came to my mind was to design something that would quickly put up a structure where people would reside for a while, and if they needed to move, they would still have to hire, would be moved very easily and go to produce the same kind of building somewhere else. So initially, I was looking at converting the burnt bricks in my state, where most of the houses people build are made of clay and brick and kiln, and they use them as building houses. But I realized that there was a need to do that in such a way that it could be dismantled in a manner which we call design for construction, DFD. So, but when I did that, I found that And now, the thinking is sustainability. We are talking about sustainability. So when you encourage into the environment, and you remove any material from the environment in such a way that it cannot be replaced, it is no longer sustainable. Sustainability means touching the earth very lightly, or living it exactly the way you saw it, or making an improvement. Now, my team eventually made a contribution in suggesting alternative ways, and they came up with the idea of utilizing plastic waste. Now, you are aware of PET. These are PET, polyethylene terephthalate. And you can see the ubiquity of plastics that you see around. Everywhere you find them thrown away and those who have carried out long research in this. We have been told that if you live there on the surface of the earth for 4,000 years, that what is called non-biodegradable. For 4,000 years, long after some of us would be down 6 feet down, there was still remain there on the surface of the earth. That's how PET plastic waste are, and they are all over the place. Government cannot manage the eradication of waste back there. So, but we discovered in the course of our research with my team that it was possible to make use of this. You carry the water to have a machine. You grind them in the machine and produce flexes like that. They are smaller. Produce them in this way. And you put them in a container. Put them in a container and you boil it. You boil it to molten state. Alright? Now, you can mix the cover and cellophane bag. You can make the covers and cellophane bag and put in these bags and things like that. Now, you will not go and carry sand or laterite and sieve it to about 4.75. You can't see it, all right, but you believe it. I'm talking about laterite and sand, river sand. You sieve it, all right? To a very fine grain, and you boil them separately. You boil the sand. You can use either sand, or you use fly ash, or you use stone dust. You boil the ground plastic waste, all right, separate to molten state, and then you boil this separate, and then you mix them. You may not know that this has been properly boiled, but from experience, you will know eventually. So you now mix them and put them in a mold. Yeah, that's the mold. While I'm talking, you can mount. So you now put them in a mold and allow them to mix. Allow them to mix. Whatever mix you can arrive at, maybe one part of plastic waste to 1.5 or 1 of sand, or to 2 parts of sand, or to 3 parts of sand, depending on what will give you the strongest compressive strength. Compressive strength in this case is measured in what we call kilopascals. And 1 kilopascal is the equivalent of 1 Newton per meter square. That's the way in which the pressure is measured. So you now make and place them. You get, this is what you get after a day. Now this is plastic waste, okay? I could throw it up and it will hit on the ground and it will not rain. This is plastic waste and sand or stone dust or whatever. Okay? You can use them and do direct ducting. This is direct ducting here. Okay? Now, why this is the locking brick? Why this is the locking brick is unique is the fact that although all other interlocking bricks can interlock major in two directions, this interlocking bricks can interlock in four different directions. Front to front, front to back, back to back, and sideways. Now, that's what I have here. This is the brick itself. What you see here now, these are models of the brick. Okay? Now, this is the brick here. This is the back face facing up. This, yeah. Now, these are back, carved out of the main brick. And you can use direct darkening. This is direct darkening. This is direct darkening. Direct darkening. You can use it target stacking. This is target stacking. Okay? When you have the brick on one course facing downwards, the next course, you have the front of the brick on the back of the brick. The course after that, you have the back on the front of the brick, and so it creates stacking this way. And you can also use the same thing to do double wall. If double wall is important for you. This is double wall. They can interlock in the longitudinal direction in one chord, and they can interlock in the transverse direction as you're moving in another direction. So you can continue combinations are numerous, and that's why it's an invention, because the combinations never ends. And now, 6 of these bricks, hold it covered, put it here. Put it here, okay? Now, bring the brick, direct darkening. 6 of these. 6 of these are equivalent of 1 9-inch block. Okay, do direct darkening. No, put it in one direction. Turn it. Okay. Remove that. Okay. So 6 of these bricks are equivalent of a 9-inch block. This 9-inch block I'm told now, 700 naira, right? You're a whole architect, builder. You know what I'm talking about. The 9-inch block now is about 700 naira. All right? Now, we'll be selling this at 50 naira. We'll be selling this at 50 naira. Now, so 6 of them times 50 will give you 300 naira. That's less than the cost of the 9-inch block. If you need 3,000 of these to build a 3-bedroom house, you will need about 18,000 to build the same bedroom house, same number of bedroom house. And that will give you 1.8 million, whereas that will give you 2.7 or something like that. So these are the advantages that you will get with download brick. And the boys who are bringing stacks of the weight for us, who are paying them stipend. Maybe one bag, depending on the size of the bag, big sack of weight, until 300 naira, you give it to them. You're creating jobs, don't you? You are creating jobs for them, and you're cleaning the environment of this plastic waste, which would otherwise not be put to any form of use at all. So these are the advantages of download brick, and we have started publishing them. we have 3 applications lined up. This is based on the form and shape of the brick. The next one will be based on the kind of material that we're using. And the next one will be based on compressive strength, water absorption test, and so on and so forth. Various kinds of tests to show you that we stand to benefit from this way. When you're running around and you see them, don't look down on those sacks of waste. You can find a way to pack them into your houses, or call them, or call any one of us on the team that we have material here that we're going to make use of for the production of Zanlock brick. Now, the spin-off from Zanlock courtyard time. We are not very sure yet. I will throw this down a bit more carefully because we're still working with them. But these are tied in hexagonal form. We have moves. Did you bring the move? Okay. The move. It doesn't matter. When you see it, you know it has a move. Okay? It has a move. So these are spinning up, and these are other kinds of products. So what we're saying is that the Zanlock bricks, the important aspect of Zanlock bricks and the shape, that is what puts it above every other interlocking brick. Otherwise, there are interlocking bricks all over the place. People making some interlocking bricks. I was not sure at the time I started. It was my then deputy, Professor Achiwinu, who drew my attention to the existence of high performance. Now, if you look at high performance interlocking brick, they can interlock mainly in only 2 directions. Only sideways and somehow maybe in transverse direction. I have looked at quite a number of others, like the ones being shown there. They interlock in majorly 2 directions. But look at the kinds of combinations we've come up with. My little boy in secondary school comes back, and I have not achieved half of the number of combinations with which this can take. Now he sits in my study and carries this model and begins to combine them in different ways. And he invite me, Daddy, come and see. And I come over and see a strange thing completely. So, as far as Zanlock is concerned, it is a unique invention with the assistance of my team. And I think that we need to embrace it in such a way that you can develop your own combination. And I can tell you, if you use polystyrene, you can use polystyrene. So the mold is already there. The mold is there. You can bring in any form of material and prepare them in any way you want with the form. And they can be used for partitions in banquet hall and things like that. So it goes on and on and on and on. There's no limit as far as Zanlock is concerned. So I want us to take advantage of the existence of our interlocking brick and the value it portends for everybody, and the kind of job we create, and the kind of environment we're going to clean up and assist government in waste management. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?